There is a problem in today's Japanese genre known as Isekai, where they more or less give you the same story, where all the characters look exactly the same, they have the exact same background, where it is a loser, and the only reason why they have the same look, they have the same background, is because they're trying to target the average Japanese man, where most of them live unfulfilling lives, where most of them are incels, losers, and more specifically, want to kill themselves. And Isekai is the opportunity where you can live through escapism. You can feel good watching the generic character live out his harem, where you in your own life are weak, pathetic, and get no bitches. And this is a very important point people do not understand. Isekais are not just a Japanese thing, but it is a storytelling method. Alice in Wonderland was published in 1865, where it follows the generic story of a girl falling down a rabbit hole and she enters a brand new world. But Alice in Wonderland is one of the best stories ever written. And the difference between what makes a good story and a bad story is not the structure that it follows, because Isekai is just the hero's journey. A generic character enters a brand new environment where he faces challenges, and then he finally reverts back to his normal ways with the new lessons learned. Isekai hero's journey, it doesn't matter, it follows the same story structure, and nonetheless, even if you follow the same structure, it can easily vary in results and quality. So what makes a good story? It is the problems the main character has to overcome that is written by the author, and in traditional stories, the problem is often external and internal. But in modern Japanese isekai, the problem is usually the same. The world was cruel, so the character dies and gets reincarnated into a fantasy world where they're instantly powerful, admired, and desired. I'm going to list animes, isekais, and you're going to see how they are written exactly the same, but with cute, small, little, minute differences. Isekai Cheat Magician is literally a story where it is a generic high schooler, average, have nothing going on for them. They get transported to another world and then they're super OP. Now, the next one is Wise Man's Grandchild, where it's another person gets transported to another world where both characters look exactly the same and they also enter another harem. And then the eighth son, are you kidding me? They look exactly the same. They get put into a fantasy world, exact same story, and they also get a harem. And the main character almost has no personality trait. And you could see this as bad writing, but I believe it is done on purpose, because what target audience do they want? What type of problem are they trying to solve for the audience? They are trying to solve the feeling of being inadequate. They all sell the story that even though you're not appreciated in this world, in a completely other world, you have a chance. You have hope. You can be powerful and girls will like you. It is quite literally just the escapism pill that a lot of people want, and that is the reason why Isekai is so popular. Every single new season of anime, more and more and more Isekai stories are being written, being drawn, being animated, and it's because it is a representation of Japan failing as a society. And this is a very important point. I can easily make fun of every other isekai, but it's also obvious that there are very good isekais. We can talk about ReZero, we can talk about Mushoku Tensei, and here's the question. Mushoku Tensei has the same story structure where it is a loser, and the loser, it becomes very powerful, he's given a lot of things, and he also enters a harem. But what is the difference between all the bad isekais I mentioned and the good ones? It's very simple. It is how the character solves and tackles their own struggles, their internal, external problems. In the anime, at the very beginning, Rudius was able to actually scold his dad, where I'm in the right, you should have not been scolding me, because his dad made the assumption that his kid was in the wrong even though he was protecting a girl from bullying harem. And later in the story, Rudius tries to pull the same thing, but actually, his dad was in the right. Rudius was in the wrong. And this is something most isekai stories never get. It's that the main character is always right. The main character never actually struggles for a single moment. And here's the thing, okay? I'm going to be very generic, but you can imagine and paint the picture of any isekai. Most protagonists, they're lonely, underachieving, socially isolated, and instead of confronting that reality, the story validates their misery by making the fantasy world agree with them. The new world doesn't challenge them, it rewards them. These stories do not ask, how do I grow as a person? They ask, what if the world finally gave me everything I wanted for doing nothing? And that is still the reason why it is actually a good story, because a good story, in my opinion, is how you could watch and learn and improve your own life. But with these stories, they're solving a completely different problem for a different audience, and the audience wants to feel good about themselves, even though objectively people who like isekais are losers. And I know this because that's why I know so much about isekai, man. I fell down the whole escapism pill where I wanted to just be powerful, get a lot of girls for no reason, and that was the target audience. But I've changed, I've grown as a person, and so did my taste. I know that this video is going to be very insulting for a lot of people who do watch isekai, but I want this to be an opportunity to actually improve and learn as a person. And this is not for the isekai people, okay? People who have a certain opinion, they will stick with it until they are the ones willing to change. What's more important is, how can you use this video to your advantage? Is there a real world application? And yes, there is. A lot of people struggle with analyzing and understanding a person. You will watch and see a lot of videos where it's learn who they are. The choice of words says a lot about a person, their body language, their eyes, where their body's facing, and all of this is very practical and real. But there's very small, minute details that really only people like me or professional autists will understand. So how are other ways to analyze a person? Because we are social creatures, knowing people is very important. It is through the media people watch, because people watch certain and different types of media and they solve different problems. Someone will watch a really, really bad piece of work.
Airlines Hotel, you get to smack that ass.
And the question is, why? Are they watching it because it's so bad it's funny? Are they watching it because, like isekai, they're solving a problem for them? I could easily narrow down a person and what they're seeking out of life just by the types of genres and animes they watch. He's watching romance. Why is he watching romance? Is it because he doesn't get enough romance, so he's trying to live vicariously through the characters' isekai harem? Or is it because they are trying to learn and be a better partner? You can easily understand a person based on the media they watch. And this is very important because the same thing applies inversely. You can easily change and understand who you are as a person based on the content you choose to consume. And this is how I avoid losers in my life. People always know the saying where it's to surround yourself with very high quality people. And you might be the bad person, and equally the content you choose to consume is a representation of who you are. If you're constantly watching trash, I personally always try to only watch the best of the best pieces of media. And that's because there's so much media, there's always something to watch. Equally, you should not be allocating your time to watching just trash. There's like a very strong fundamental idea, which we'll talk about later in the Patreon video, where it's all about what you choose to surround yourself with, and it's content, it's people, it's ideas, and very complex video. I always wanted to talk about and make videos about isekai. I have before, but I really went in depth with it today. If you guys liked it, subscribe, check out the Patreon, one-on-one calls with my viewers. It's a raffle, highest paid, first to respond. Toodly-doo, guys.